This is a plant called Banisterius kaapi, Jagubi ayahuasca, from the Peruvian, South American, Amazonian basin. And it's a medicine plant from various cultural traditions of indigenous people that's been in use since time immemorial. We have this vine freshly harvested from a nearby farm in near the Pacific Ocean in Costa Rica, and we are going to do a medicine cooking pachillo. As you can see with this vine, there's bark on it, and we go through each and every vine and we scrape the bark off, so then it looks like that. From that point, we take it and we chop it and pound it into very little pieces, and then we put it in the little pieces in pots full of water, and we boil it down for at least 72 hours. You just keep boiling and reducing it till you have a final end product, which is under the name of ayahuasca or daime. And there's different admixtures for the that can be added to the ayahuasca. The most common admixture that's added to it is called chacruna. It's a plant of the coffee family, Psychotria viridis. The leaves are used of the plant, and it creates kind of the sweetness and the visionary aspect of the ayahuasca medicine. And it's more the feminine energy also. This is like the king Jagubi and the mother Hyena, the queen mother of the forest. And so the two symbiosis with the male and the feminine boiled down by the fire and the water and all the elements are creating this magical elixir called ayahuasca, which is drank in ceremonies throughout the world. It reactivates the hidden, latent nature that our human species have been subducted by. And so we reactivate the neurological, hormonal potential of our spiritual and psychic sphere to relate to what is nature, to relate to how we are functioning as human beings on this planet and our relationship to this universe and the world at large, and to each other and the animals and the plants and the minerals and all the kingdoms. And there are various lines of ayahuasca that are used. There's the Santo Daime, there's kind of the New Age cult functions that are coming from various mixed cultures. There's the Peruvian shamanism of the indigenous people, and all the indigenous people really in Ecuador and Colombia have their certain way with it. And so coming out of the Western world and the Western culture, we as these people have to formulate a new kind of thing where we're bridging the gap between the indigenous and the neocratic techno culture. The medicine comes with really deep healing, and it comes with very much a cleansing effect, a very powerful effect that can really awaken someone to what they would never, what would they have never thought of in themselves before. And so it's this plant, ayahuasca, and we will be cooking it in the next 5 days or so, and therein the medicine will be found to those whom it is called to be with. This plant was discovered by the Western world in the very early 1900s. One of the first primary ethnobotanists to really bring it to light was Richard Evans Schultes, which was a scholarly ethnobotanist person who was documenting plants in the Amazonian basin and came across this shamanic plant medicine, and it went really unknown for quite a while until by the Western world to like the early 1970s, where there was a man named Terence McKenna whom brought this plant back to Hawaii and started cultivating it and brewing the medicine and kind of spreading this. And from there it picked up speed, and now as of today it's quite prolific among the medicine culture of California, Hawaii, Brazil, Peru, Ecuador, and Colombia, and now into Latin America and Central America. And it's among a whole long list of other shamanic plants that are used. This particular plant contains various chemicals that are very specific of how the plant functions the way it does. So the chemical that is the main constitution of the ayahuasca vine contains MAO inhibiting beta carbolene indole alkaloid, which is harmine, harmalan, tetrabeta hydrocarbolines, basically. And they're MAO inhibitors, monoamine oxidase inhibitors, that directly interact with the DNA and directly have a kind of a euphoria, sedation effect on the body, chemically speaking. But also there's a spiritual intelligence of this plant that far exceeds anything that really words could say. Each person has their own relationship to that intelligence and how it functions in their system and how it functions in their body. So that's the main history. And in terms of the longer term history, it was very much it was asked, how did you shamans figure out these two plants to use, the ayahuasca and the chacruna? And they said, well, the plants told us. And interesting enough, the ayahuasca vine contains an MAO inhibitor, which is necessary for the chacruna to work. So if the chacruna does not have the ayahuasca vine, it does not have any effect. But in synergy with the ayahuasca vine, it has a potentiating effect that is very potent. Because in the chacruna leaf, there's various strains of dimethyltryptamine, and the dimethyltryptamine is not orally active unless it's with the MAO inhibitor. So with the MAO inhibitor and the chacruna leaf, they combine and form a synergistic effect to activate the dormant neurological functioning of the pineal gland hormonal system. And with this idea comes along a whole slew of psychic dimensions to explore and spiritual aspects to dwell in. And each one on his own discovers what these are within themselves.